I feel like in my heart, I already know which one I'm going to choose, and that is the PS2, but we'll still run through it. So the first console that I remember playing on as a child was the Super Nintendo, but the one that I played after that was the PlayStation 1. So the SNES and the PS1 are two consoles that have a lot of just, nostalgia deep in my heart. But we'll just run through it quick. For the PS1, you have so many classic games like Spyro and Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and 3 and Crash. Oh gosh, this is actually getting really difficult. Okay, so you have that. Then you have like the first and second Gran Turismo. Then you get to the PS2, you have Resident Evil 4, my favorite game of all time. You have a bunch of great 3D platformers like Crash to Insanity, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I know that's a bit more of like a niche one, but that game was always a lot of fun. Then you had amazing first-person shooters like Time Splitters. I feel like Time Splitters is going to make the list here. You had Call of Duty games on the PlayStation. You had games like Burnout and Burnout Dominator, which Dominator came out a little bit later. I think it was even after like the PS3 release, but that game was super underrated. Love Burnout Dominator. You had some of the best licensed tie-in games of all time, like Battle for Bikini Bottom and the SpongeBob movie game, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith, but Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original one. Oh my goodness. Okay, so, man, okay, then we go to the PS3, then you have the ones where it's like, Black Ops 2 and all the amazing exclusives like Starhawk, Warhawk, Resistance, Killzone 2 and 3, The Last of Us. Again, the list goes on and on with the amazing exclusives. God of War 3, the Sly Cooper games had like remasters there, but well, no, we also did have an original game there with Thieves in Time. The original trilogy was only on the PS2, but it did get an HD collection on PS3. But again, I want to kind of stick to just what that platform brought to the table. And man, going back to the PS2, yeah, you had games like Jak and Daxter and all the, like there's so many amazing games on the PlayStation 2 there. That's where Killzone began. And then going back to the PS3, yeah, there's just so many amazing games that were released during that time. Moving up to the PS4, obviously we all know that's where Sony really went in on the exclusives. You had games like the Order 1886, which I've always loved, God of War 2018, Spider-Man 2018, The Last of Us 2, Days Gone, all of the amazing Call of Duty games that released during that time, like underrated ones such as Infinite Warfare, or some that are regarded as some of the best of all time, like Black Ops 3 with the sheer amount of zombies content on offer there. And oh man, I don't know, this is tricky. See, and then we get to PS5, and obviously, the PS5 is off to a great start. It has tons of exclusives there and this, that, and the other, but in my heart, it's one of those things where as much as I love the PS3, the PS4, the PS5, and even the PS1, obviously a lot of that deep nostalgia there. I mean, you literally see the PS5 in the back. That's like one of my daily driver consoles that I play nonstop. The PS2, man, I mean, that's another console where it's been in my life for, as long as I can remember. And year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day, the PS2 is still one of my daily drivers as well. So I have a lot of memories there. There's a great library of games there. And it just, when it comes to any PlayStation console where it's like, okay, I have to choose just one, it would be the PlayStation 2. So this is where things get tricky. I think my list, I'm already trying to summarize here. So I already know one of the games on the list is going to be Resident Evil 4, just because that's my favorite video game of all time. So we're just going to PS2, RE4, and then I think the next game on my list is going to be Crash Twin Sanity, just because if you're choosing the PS2, you need some 3D platformers there. That's just part of what that generation was known for, was the amazing and just, fun little quirky 3D platformers that sort of carried over from the PS1 generation. And again, Crash Twin Sanity, that is my favorite Crash Bandicoot game. So that's the one that I'm going to choose there. And then from there, oh man, I really don't know what to pick next. I think I would roll with Lego Batman. And then outside of that, man, see, I want to put games on here like Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, or like Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, because I put so much time into those games. But I don't know, man. What do I do next? I mean, GTA 3, GTA Vice City, those are great games. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I really want to include Lego Star Wars as well, which, oh man, this is difficult because now I'm kind of thinking I might, okay, so we have Lego Batman here, right? So if I'm gonna choose one Lego game, I would probably have to choose, like, Lego Batman, just because that's my favorite Lego game, one of my top 5 favorite of all time. But then there's also Lego Star Wars 1 and 2. No, see, okay, we already have Lego Batman here. We already have our Lego game covered. I'm just gonna stop right there. I'm thinking for the other two games on the PS2 list, you know what? The Godfather the game. That's what I'm gonna do. The nostalgia for that game that I have cannot be explained in words. I love The Godfather. It is technically like a licensed tie-in game, yet despite that, it totally stands on its own as just a masterpiece of a video game. Both that and its sequel that only released on PS3 and 360 and PC and all that, The Godfather 2, was also amazing. But for PS2 specifically, I'm gonna roll with The Godfather. And then after that, this is where it gets tricky. So we have RE4, Crash Twin Sanity, Lego Batman, and The Godfather. From there, I want to put Time Splitters on here so bad because I have a lot of nostalgia for that game, but there's also a lot of other games from that era that I really want to include on this list. Like, this is going to sound crazy, but I want to put Wall-E on here. I know out of the entire PS2 library, for some people, it would be like, Wall-E? The Wall-E tie-in game? Why? But it's just, again, I played that game a ton back in the day, and I have a lot of nostalgia for it. But we also kind of have our bases covered with the whole puzzle / 3D platformer type thing with Crash Twin Sanity, so I guess I won't do that one, but oh my gosh, this is so difficult. And I want to put a racing game, but now we already have The Godfather here, which has like driving elements, but at the same time, it's so different. So do I put Burnout Dominator? Do I put Star Wars Battlefront? You know what? If I want an endlessly replayable game, okay, here's what I'm thinking. I wanted Lego Star Wars in here, but obviously I can't do Lego Star Wars because I already have my bases covered with Lego Batman. I could do Lego Star Wars, but again, only 5 games. Here's what I'm thinking. Do I do Star Wars Episode 3, which is based on my favorite Star Wars movie, which has a fun co-op mode, but also like a fun story mode? Or maybe do I gravitate towards Battlefront 2 in this case, where it's endlessly replayable. It also has those elements of Revenge of the Sith, where you're able to play as those characters, and it would also allow me to get my Star Wars fix, because, you know, I'm that type of guy where I just, you know, I need my Star Wars fix from time to time, even if it's just hearing the Empire music, even if it's just hearing the you know, just hearing the music. It's just, Star Wars has always been a part of my life, so man, you know what? I think, okay, RE4, Crash Insanity, Lego Batman, The Godfather, we are missing a bit of that arena shooter, infinitely replayable. You know what? I think I'm gonna go Star Wars Battlefront 2. On the desert island, I have, if I'm allowed to take one PlayStation, I'd be taking the PlayStation 2 with Resident Evil 4, Crash Twin Sanity, Lego Batman, The Godfather, and Star Wars Battlefront 2.